Hello, everybody. This is Peter Slavic, and I'm here today together with Eszter Debreczeni. And really great to be online and live today. And connecting to our topic, Eszter, are you real or are you AI? So this is the first question.
Very nice question. I am real, I would consider maybe some parts later on with AI, but now I'm really real.
Okay.
So thanks for
Okay.
having me.
So great that you managed to join this discussion. This is Expert Talks by EDUardo. And I think let's start with a short introduction before jumping into our topic. So just as a start, we know each other for a really long time, back in the university times. And it's such a great experience to re-meet and restart our discussions recently. So that gave me the push to invite you. So could you please tell a few words about yourself?
Yes, I mean, you said I really like to be a guest or a discussion partner at lives where I have a personal relation, and we have a long relation from that perspective. So my name is Eszter Debreczeni. I'm the founder of EDUardo Orchestration. This is a boutique consultancy company specializing in organizational design, org development, human resources, with very special thing. And then you see like a piano background. And this is why, because in Esthers we use music as a great tool for facilitating transformations and changes. But I think my relevance for today is rather from my role that is a partner at the FI Institute for Augmented Intelligence. This is a Silicon Valley-based consultancy company, and I'm there a partner for AI-ready organization and culture, meaning like we are working on AI projects and making sure that in every AI and HR project as well, the human factor is very much considered and validated. And the last thing, I'm very honest, from my human resources background, the best part and the one that I always loved, it was organizational capability building or learning and development. So I'm very much delighted to have this today as a focus.
Okay, and you will also refer back to your experience at different organizations, I guess, and the lessons learned there in respect of our today topic. Okay, just those who don't know me, I'm Peter Slavic from EDUardo. We are using AI, so we are not an AI company, but we are using AI technologies in education, so that gives the relevance. And as we discussed with Eszter, the today's session is planned to be a discussion. Of course, there are certain topic elements that we agreed, and Eszter will start with this just to have a proper introduction. But after that, we like to go into real question answer things to both sides, both Esthers and mine. And also, I like to encourage you to ask questions from us. At certain parts of the discussion, we will answer these. So there is a functionality there on LinkedIn, so you can put it, and I will make sure that we will address these. So our today topic is AI and education, and honestly, AI is such a high ball these days. So like everything is about that. I even started to collect the new services on internet that can help our productivity and connectivity and other elements, and quite a lot of them related to education, but not all of them. So I think a fundamental thing is to outlook how will this affect in a lasting way. So I'm not thinking about kind of a flash in the pan or like a spark, just a little thing which impresses us, and then 1 week from now we are not going to remember. So what I mean, it's important that by the end of the conversation we identify those trends, those elements, those even technical elements that will presumably stay with us and influence how we teach, how we learn, and how we participate in this process, and not those which might be unique today or seem to be special today, but there's no real relevance. But of course, the whole topic is really a moving subject and also subjective of how we see it. And therefore, I think it's a right question to ask, first of all, that how do you believe the future of AI-powered education will look like?
Mm-hmm. Thanks, Peter. I think in the 21st century, we need to always remind ourselves that everything is contextual. I think this is not the age of that we can find a definition or like, the silver bullet that would last for a long, etc. So allow me, before I go into the topic, a little bit set a context that you understand, from what perspective I'm going to talk about. And then we go deeper to the topic. So from my background as well, and as Peter highlighted too, so if we talk about education, then I would focus and I can share my experience from a corporate learning perspective mostly. Like it can be like that you are an employer and you have a learning and development department, or somebody is taking care in the people and culture function for learning, or you have a readiness function like we used to have in Microsoft, that we separated these two, but the connection point was, of course, the learning component. So that's one, is the corporate perspective. The second perspective, that if I'm talking about players or providers, then I'm once again can share my experience about the in-house learning and development departments and people, culture, functions, readiness departments, or of course external companies, consultancies, training companies, that provide training for corporates and individuals, because this is like, that my curricula as well. So I'm at the same time advising corporates in many things, but sometimes I run as well training. So for me, it's personally a question like, how am I going to use AI in this perspective? And the third element that I would like to highlight is that I would like to broaden up this topic a little bit, that we are not only focusing on like how AI is going to impact education, but we are talking about how in general the AI age and AI is playing a key role in transforming how organizations are set, how organizations learn, how organizations are designed, and how they are thinking about culturally about learning. So I think we are experiencing, especially by the good ones, a new way of thinking, that the organization, as McKinsey says, is waking up to a value focus. So not an activity focus, but a value focus. And the other very important trend is that organizations are thinking more and more not in jobs and structures, but in skills. And I think this is somehow a very good connection that we could use in terms of AI as well.
And do you think it will be disruptive? Because, we love this word disruptive, but is it really a moment of disruption?
Well, if this is a moment of disruption, that's a question that is going to be disruptive for those who were not following, so to say, the pulse of the AI age. For them, definitely, and we can for sure say that this big hype, let's face it, ChatGPT and this very, very quick adoption from that perspective made a lot of things accelerated, like the pandemic, right? We said like, oh no, it's not possible to digitalize, etc. And then the pandemic come, and there were companies, they said like in 2 weeks something that they planned for 2 years. So thank you, ChatGPT, from that perspective, that now somehow this topic AI has landed on almost everyone's table, and I think every function and a lot of customers from us, or those who were laggards and saying like, no, this is not for us, they are calling now and they say like, what's this? help to frame it. How can I use it for myself? Oh, Jesus Christ, what should I do? So I think from that perspective, if we say that disruption is about that finally we are facing reality, then I would say yes. But I'm there, and we are going to talk about that as well. I'm there for disrupting with purpose, so not for the sake of disruption. I think our education system and corporate learning system need a little bit of refreshment. So I don't mind if somebody is knocking out from, let it be AI or whatever, somebody is knocking from the door outside and is saying like, hey, think about how you do that in your company.
Okay, so you mentioned several dimensions that you like to talk. So let's jump into the first one, I suggest.
Okay, so anytime when I'm talking about AI, and I would like to use this type of model or frame for education as well, I like very much. Deloitte has a kind of frame which is talking about the output and capacity transformation. So that on one hand, if you think about AI, to think about like what is the output that we achieve once we use AI, and then the second, this is like in that piece, and then here in this piece is like how many freed capacity you are generating in your organization, and I think we can use that here as well, but just before, because I made a note for myself because I wanted to jump into this detail, I would say that very interesting is for me, and that's what I try to do with my clients as well, that we are very much interested in the impact of AI, not in the tools. So because the tools, it's, I mean, sure, everybody can have the tools, etc., very important. But if we go back to the music analogy, this is the instrument. We need to first write the music. Why is learning important? How is our learning strategy? How is our culture, etc.? That's one thing. The second is that in general that we embrace something. So I'm rather a technology positive person, but saying like embrace it, get familiar with it, but be thoughtful about the potential risk or the open questions. And I think it's very important to know that the AI strategy never exists, even in education and learning in itself. It's the natural extension of your strategy. So how you boost your strategy, how you boost your activities with AI. And the last piece that I would like to just put on the table before we go into the very concrete is that I see that there is a lot of discussion about what we do, so many times about the tools, but we don't invest enough time, even in education, that why AI would be something that we use and how we are going to reaping the benefits of AI. Yeah, many AI projects are starting and somewhere lose the momentum, and then we are just asking like, what did we do wrong? I think that's a part. So coming back to this transformation and output, the first level, and I think it impacts education as well, is like automizing things. So this is like where we substitute players in the education phase, or we are going to automate some processes, etc. So very concretely, it's about like that we are enhancing the capacity, productivity, efficiency of our learning platforms, or we are helping the teachers and the instructors to manage their times and increase their efficiency and productivity, or we are optimizing how they are delivering instruction, how they are teaching, or we use the data that we generate to make sure that we have a better process, and we free up capacity and we generate mostly in cost, in productivity something. So that's the first level that we could see as well in education. The second level is then we go further and we arrive at the space of augmentation. Augmentation meaning like, that we are going to extend the impact that we do. So once again, measured before automation was cost, augmentation is business value generated. So we are talking about transferring it to education, like personalized learning, so that makes sure that the learner's experience is better. Or we are going to create new ways, new curriculums, new contents, or we are just somehow augment our way how we teach, or we give just for the education companies and departments, but mostly for education companies as well, the opportunity to create new innovative products and solutions, because AI can help to understand, what is expected, understand, who we are talking about, who are the learners. Not even, we are going to speak about it maybe later, the adaptive learning, that you can use that if you would be like a producer, so you can very much fine tune the way how people learn. Or let's say we can use AI, and this is a value added as well, that enhance the cooperation and the activities between the learners and the instructors. So you name it. So I think it's about creating new experiences, more personalized experiences, creating new products, creating new value for the organization. And the last piece, this is going to be a shorter one, because I think this is a future thing and we don't see it. So in this Deloitte model, the third one is actually collaboration, where you see that the created output is meaning. So when we are really starting to distinguish, like, what is the human part of doing education and learning, and what is the machine part, and how we collaborate, how we just fusion these two. And I think this is something that with the today exponential change, it's I'm very curious, where it goes. But I think this contains many things that we can't even imagine. So automation, augmentation, collaboration, and the more we are going to upwards, the more we are moving out from cost, value to meaning. And I think that's going to happen in education as well.
Okay, I just put it onto the screen so that it could be easier to remember. My question, Esther, relating to this, that is it kind of a path that certain corporations should go through, or is it possible that on the different layers, maybe some elements are more relevant to my case, and I pick out those which are, first of all, available, I can afford to use them, I can use them properly, and I really need them. So that goes to the very beginning of the say why we use AI. So do you think we can cherry pick those which are relevant to our case, or on the opposite, it's more like an evolution that we go from stage to stage to stage?
Well, I think in general, I would say that both paths are possible, depending on the maturity of the organization and of the learning and development department, or how we think about learning. And maturity from that perspective for me is always like two sides. What is the technology maturity of a provider or an organization, and what is the organizational, which is culture, which are processes, etc. For sure, I think it's always worth to look for efficiency, meaning like checking that, thinking about, and once again, like if we are decomposing work, and this is, I think, something that should happen more and more, because in this very changing environment, kind of assuming that I have this box, I have this work, and this is going to be for the entire fiscal year the same, that's probably a little bit naive. So if you decompose work, then you could always look at like, okay, what are the parts that are value added and generates real true business value, where I need the human to be there, and where are the parts where I think I could somehow support my business or generate value to my business through cost or efficiency. I think it's a balancing act. It's always a kind of looking for low-hanging fruits. They are many times in the efficiency part, so making sure, but at the same time do the automation, do this efficiency pieces as well, with the augmentation in mind, that actually what we would like to achieve here is that man and machine, not who is better and who is the winner and who is going to switch off the light at the end in the learning and development department, but how we put these two things together in a combination that is going to create better learner experience, better instructor experience, better learning experience, and through that, better business performance or better engagement in an organization.
Okay, and I think the message for me, at least what I can take from your words, and thank you for giving a structure for that, is that those organizations which are either have a lot of learners, so like any big corporation, or those who are in the edtech industry, they need to have an individualized strategy. So taking it into consideration in a structured way, where is our organization right now? What do we need? So put it into the strategy using this easily understandable approach, like what shall we use now, why, and what should I expect from the different things when I start to use them. So this is the message. So okay.
I would say that's something that you are not going to get that wrong, so I think this is based on the maturity, and then the question is like, how you measure maturity, because it's one thing that I think about myself, that I'm mature and I'm the king of the universe, and then what is reality. So I think the most important thing is like with everything, strategy combining with agility, in a sense that agility for me, two focuses. That one is that I dynamically sense what is going on in the outside world as well. I think many people didn't expect that they will just discuss things about ChatGPT and how they are going to use it in education like half a year ago. Although that was not wow for many people who are already using AI in education. So dynamically sense what's going on outside world and inside world. And once you are going to answer, then you are going to have a focused, flexible, and short, or quick answer. Because once again, this is going to change. So that's why I say that I think the purpose of your organization, the purpose of your learning and the role in your organization, that is constant. So the why should be, I think, constant. The how is changing, and what you always change and always tailor is the what. And this can be the tool, and what is going to be next, what process, what department. Is it the focus on the learners? Is it a focus on the instructor? This is the individual part.
Okay, so you gave the structure, and where do you suggest to continue our thinking? So like, okay, we have the core structure.
Well, I mean, maybe you could give to the audience, because that's where I am not that much in it, something that how you think the educators will teach differently in the future, and how different this will be from the current approach.
Yes, I think when before taking out the educators, it's important to mention that when we talk about the educational process, that are like the stakeholders, like in most cases. And here we not only have the learner and the educator, but in many cases, it's important to have, we have a sponsor or somebody who wants the participants, for example, to learn. So if it's a corporation, the employer or the owner, let's say the management, who wants. And in other cases, this is a society which is represented by kind of a government or whatever structure which wishes to elevate the level of the knowledge level of people. And these stakeholders, they have different expectation. And I think when we start to use, you mentioned that, yeah, okay, not only look at the tools, but also look at what we expect from that, or what is the value added we expect. But also we need to put it into the context of the expectation and interest of these at least three groups. And if I look at the educator, what is the most important is that the knowledge transfer is happening by any mean. Could it be triggered by motivation or proper presentation or availability? There are many layers, but that one is improved, because the worst thing, I can recall some classes when I was a teacher at the university. The biggest fear is that I have no impact. Nobody's listening to me, or at least part of the audience is not listening. It's not going through. And you try all your tools, even using the grading or exams of pushing the participants to get kind of motivation, maybe by fear because of the grading, but at least to encourage them to pass those things which are stuck them into the process. And also for let's say the sponsors, it's important that there is proper knowledge transfer, and that it is both effective and efficient. So the information goes through and it's not costing a lot, and it's relatively fast. So all those elements which are helping, and you mentioned productivity already, like in the first automation level. That's really important for these two stakeholders. And of course there are other layers as well. So if we think of what we can possibly, and let's take some tools, but not the tools themselves, but what they trigger. For example, if in the learning process we can give better guidance, so like what you learn, better explanation, better putting these things into context, or give examples, or reasoning, or arguing. If you take these functions and look at from the viewpoint of AI, you can do these functionalities totally differently than before, because these elements can be provided by the educator, but could be supported by a kind of a tool. So what if I can ask examples from an AI chat or something like that? This is one layer. The other one is giving feedback upon the performance. So that's also more of a productivity part. But can I have a proper quick feedback during the learning process? And can the AI help me in doing that? Because yes, if I evaluate, if I give a feedback myself, that's great as a teacher or trainer. But can I have a support in that? So that's also an element, and definitely something which will change. So overall, I think we need a kind of a self-guided interaction and more personalization. And this is all because as an educator, we want to improve the knowledge transfer, the motivation of the learners. We will come back to the learner side. I will more ask your opinion on that part. But we will see that having the tools is not enough. Just let's take an example. You go to ChatGPT, and you might tell to a student, okay, use it, ask any question. Asking any question means them no help. I see a lot of people around me who cannot properly use Google after how many years, like 20? It's around us, and they cannot properly make a search and find the information is around us, they cannot find. Why do we expect that it will be that different with the clever bot? The clever bot still requires questions, proper questions. So therefore, I think this is how I call it. This like a rule of the prompts. Like how we can set the prompts, how we can ask the proper questions from these AI devices. So how to utilize them will be a really important task and mission for the educators. Then not only passing the knowledge by themselves, not only making sure that there are tools which can be available any hour of the day, anytime, supporting microlearning, whatever, and that one is taught, but also to explain the learners how to use these tools, how to properly play with the instrument. Does it resonate with you?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, this is something that that we need to highlight every time. That well, AI is there, for example, for problem solving, but it can be a very different thing how you frame the problem and what do you see as a problem. It's not going to not even he. So the machine is not going to think about context or contextualize. This is where you have as a human a very important role. So I think once you were talking, the thing that came into my mind as well, it's a little bit towards another question that we just spoke about as a preparation, is like, what differentiates the good ones or those ones who are really good in this field from those one who are kind of okay or laggards, meaning like, not I think is one thing that I would almost say that this efficiency part or this knowledge transfer should happen and all this. This is going to become like a hygienic factor. This is not going to be a differentiator. Of course, today, not everybody is using technology that much, and the first thing is like, you have, I think, the curve as well in education as well, that you have in the normal company, that you work from the digitization through digitalization, digital transformation, and AI, because maybe there are some companies who are already there, just like, to make sure that they don't use any paper-based things anymore, for whatever reason, invoicing, because education has a kind of, relevance as well, or a spectrum as well outside of the knowledge transfer. It's like, how you deliver education. So, and if you are not going to use this opportunity, technology and AI, just to think about your operating model of education, or how you deliver value, etc. If you stay only like, that let's do the knowledge transfer, then I think you are going to stay in the curve, like at that digitalization, meaning like, you improve your learning and development or educational processes, but you are not moving to the next level, which is about like, how do I create completely new things, and how do I somehow reshape the way that I do the education. Like, we saw that in the pandemic as well. Don't call like digital education if you are doing your same thing, what you used to do in front of a big audience in the university, and you put a camera and Zoom, and then you call it you are digital. You digitized something. Yeah, I mean, you deliver something now online that you used to deliver analog. But So these are the fundamental questions, and I think these relate back to the where are you in the maturity, where are you in this curve, because then I would set the expectation differently towards a company that is already like a digital transformation, etc. And for an educator that is now somehow start to understand this whole surrounding. Maybe there are options like, to jump quicker. At the same time, I think many times this is about the mindset. This is about, and coming back, that the tool is not enough. Many times we believe, or companies believe, that, oh, I'm going to buy the most sexy, the most proficient, the best platform, whatever, and tick, yeah, I solved it, so we solved corporate learning. But they are not thinking about, so like how, for example, learning integrates into the work, or is like, many times, I don't know, I mean, how much you experience this, that if employees feel that they should work, and actually learning is not part of the value creation process, or they are not incentivized, that they are always, making themselves ready, then, you could have the best tool, if you say like, okay, but this requires for me to do this on the weekend, because otherwise I'm not able to do my work, etc. And these are much bigger decisions. These are people and culture decisions. These are as well, coming back to the sponsors. I think this is where HR departments have a big role as well to play, to make sure that it's not enough that you just request from us that we deliver. Better help us and understand us. What is the business value? So through this education, help us to measure in a way, like, are we going to sell more, or are we going to launch a new product because we just start to generate a more innovative spirit in the organization. So these are the really business-driven decisions. And coming back, I don't think that this is happening enough. And everybody goes to a conference and says like, oh, we saw a great AI tool, and now ChatGPT just poof, go into it and expect the miracle. No, they won't be miracle, or there will be a miracle for a short time, but then it comes, the awakening. And I think, or at least once I'm working with clients, and it should be like education or whatever, I'm interested in future-proof ways of doing things, in sustainable things. And this is where you just dare to ask the bigger picture, and dare to somehow extend the perspectives and the thinking from the tools towards the impact, from learning and development separately as a function to the whole organization, and from the making sure that the learning process and the learning experience is good, to the business value creation, or whatever value that we define for us is important. But both sides and every piece of every player should be aware, what is this value? And I think that's something that we should facilitate much more. The question is, who should do that? Is it HR? Is it business? I don't know.
Yeah, but let me not. So let me go back to what you said. Mm-hmm. What came into my mind is that if we have traditional learning, and then there was a digital. Sometimes we call it blended if there are tools and they are combined. But in fact, going back to the three levels, and again put here this what you just defined, the automation part. So when we have the first level or layer of using the AI tools, in fact, that will just boost the blended learning part. It's nothing new, contextual way. It's helping productivity, connectability, something like that. Okay, and if you don't think you want to use it, you just skip it. not everybody is using the digital elements, all the digital elements that are available in education, whether it's corporate or academic. So, but here comes the next one, is that the augmentation part. That will be really interesting, because that one is far beyond of just simple productivity. So when you start to teach the tools, and we might come back, but let's, managing our time. We talked about the educator. If you think about the learner, and let's combine it now, like Esther as a learner also, so like not necessarily generalization. Let's imagine, no, okay, you are a learner now. What is your expectation, or what do you think, or how do you think you will learn differently as an individual because of this AI elements?
Good that you put there that it's Esther, because I have for me a definition of learning which maybe is not the definition that you would find in the books. So for me, learning relates very much towards change. Meaning like, and change for me is not that I was that level and now I'm at that level, or I came here from A and I go to B. For me, change and learning as well is like extending my options to choose from. When I learned something, then I am ready. I can anytime decide that I don't do it because of any reason, but at least I know that there is an opportunity to go towards that direction. This is how I somehow identify for myself learning. So for me, if I want to say that how AI can support me is on the top. Beyond that, it's a personalized thing that I'm receiving relevant content, but it's like, show me the things, and this is mostly in the unstructured data, so not in the data that already. Show me like what I miss, what show me the mirror in terms of like if you identify that there is a certain way that I do things, that's good, maybe there is a reason. But if I want to improve, or if I want to develop, once again, what is the part of the world, the way of learning, the content, the whatever that I miss? And confront me gently with that. Esther, do you want to do this in the future as well? You haven't used this, or you never considered that going that way. You always answered this question, or your way of kind of like learning was always like this. Do you want to continue with that, or we show you something different and we create for you a space, a safe space for first to try, because you might learn differently better, but you didn't know that is possible. So for me, the real interesting part in this whole AI stuff and age is like that help me to spot things that I'm not able to spot because it's too fragmented. It's too. I mean, I could even think like that you are not going to give me some content from a perspective, but you just help me to understand what's going on outside in the world. So like
let's create a thing, like let's imagine you learn language and you make a test, and the automated algorithm shouldn't even be AI, just correcting your mistakes of the time. And one thing is that it just shows what are the mistakes. So you are presented with the mistakes and think about it yourself, have the conclusions. Oh, I don't know the conjugation or whatever. But the other one is that if you got a feedback from the system in a personalized way, which says, Esther, I feel, says the bot or whatever, I feel a pattern that you are constantly missing out something. You are not clearly summarizing. You don't use proper words. It's just grammatically correct, but not in that context.
Yeah,
or you miss out certain structures which you could or mother tongue speakers use in that one.
or just like, as my son received the feedback, from his teacher, like, that once you are doing a test, he was stopping at an exercise he was not able to solve, and then spend a lot of time of like, and even like, getting nervous, etc., instead of going forward and coming back. So for example, like, that if you receive a feedback on like, that how much time you spent and how did you somehow use your energy or whatever. So these are the things, exactly what you just mentioned, that the non-obvious measures, because if correct, not correct, this is the obvious, yeah. But what are the non-obvious feedback points? What are the non-obvious things that through data and through AI, etc., we can feed back and then generates, that brings everybody to the next level.
Yeah, and for individual learners, of course, the wow feeling is great because that gives motivation. If the technology supports microlearning, that's a plus. If it explains things in practice, that's a plus. If it highlights things which I have typical mistake, that's a plus. And now we have an additional one is more personalization, just touched. But there's another terminology you already mentioned, adaptive learning. How can you define this adaptive learning? Like in your case, what would adaptive learning mean for you?
Well, for me, it would definitely kind of resonate in a sense, like as it would be an adaptive organization. Once again, coming back to this agility piece, that I constantly understand the context, the changing context, my personal context, the context that is around me, and somehow my maturity level and my options and my choices are always kind of like, matched to this kind of context. And the learning piece, which is about like, what other options I can take, it's always adjusted, and it's always reflects, this type of dynamic. That's how I would say adaptive learning, and this is once again like coming from many channels, from structured data, from unstructured data, from signals around the world, that somebody helps me to create a kind of laboratory or a space where I can somehow test, where I can somehow bring in new experiences, try and error, etc. But then we are back again to the bigger topic, like, that I need a culture that kind of nurtures that, because it's easy to say that, okay, you do this, your state exam or not, but how my organization, for example, acknowledge that failing 9 times in a simulation or whatever, is it a failure, or thank goodness that you did it nine times in a simulation and not in the real time or in the real world. So these are the things, like, every organization needs to identify the box, and if possible, this box should not be a black box that, you send in learners, etc., but a kind of transparent thing that everybody knows. Why am I learning? How can I learn better? What is expected? And if I fail, because let's face it, in learning, then it's parallel that you might not make it first, then second, then third, or whatever. How the system reinforces me or punishes me or encourages me, in terms of these things. And many times these are much more work with the stakeholders to do than just, setting up the technology and saying like, okay, from tomorrow on. So the best technology, the best, thing in the wrong box or in the wrongly defined box, I think it's sometimes even more harmful than doing nothing.
Okay, we have 10 minutes left, so like we need to properly use this time. Do you have anything to add to this kind of learn from the best topic?
I would say that I think it already goes to the other questions that we might just put on the table. Is this what are the risks, what are the ethical concerns, etc. And now we hear a lot with ChatGPT, and as well, there are even some universities that banned it completely, because of many things. I don't think that I need to explain that too much. So for me, just to connect these two topics, I think those ones who are doing it well, they are having a mindset which is in a DNA of their leadership of responsible and thoughtful technology usage, let it be AI, but responsible and thoughtful business models as well, which is meaning that for me is a standard that I'm ethical, for me is a standard that I'm sustainable, for me is a standard that I respect data protection, privacy, or whatever, and not in a way that, okay, let's be quick, let's be first, go till the wall, and when the compliance, when the law is coming, then we pay the fine. Okay, good. For sure, and this is how much how Europe many times receives the critique that you are over regulating. Now we are knowing that the EU AI Act is coming in Q2 2023. It is going to come. Employers, companies will have a kind of a year to prepare, and then after that you need to prove that your AI applications are compliant, meaning they categorize this topic into 4 categories: immediately banned, high risk, low risk, no risk. So I think the important thing is, and that's maybe as well a wake-up call for many, that if you consider these things, even ChatGPT or whatever in education, from a compliance perspective, that you try to look at the last phase, okay, we did everything, and now check whether we are compliant. That's very risky, not only because you are going to waste your resources internally, etc., but you are, putting your organization under the risk of being identified as and having an algorithm that is biased, that is discriminatory, etc. We know the cases, everything. So I think for those who are doing it well, they consider this even in education, that everything starts from the design. So not at the end, but from the design. When I use algorithm, when I use processes, when I use data, how do I start in a way that is responsible, ethical, sustainable? You are on mute, Peter, I think.
Sorry.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So these topics are so deep and complex that we cannot go into very details today because we run out of time. I'd just like to remind our audience that if you have a question, please put it down onto the chat so that we can answer that with Eszter. Before wrapping up, I'm also like to share you of what at EDUardo, where we are, which stage we are. Mm-hmm. We back old times, we use bots, but bots are not AI. Bots are reactive in competition modules. They are competing with you. They are reacting to you, but they are not traditional AI. However, recently with ChatGPT, we realized the vast opportunities, and we already integrated a chat, even a talking chat tutor, which is really funny and nice. Mm-hmm. But honestly, it gives a problem, which I already mentioned, is that, okay, what to ask? So we need to have the learners to have the proper prompts, proper structure of asking the questions. And so that's the next layer which should come. And then if we reach further into the next level from automation to augmentation, is that these engines are educatable. So you can teach them. And that's a kind of a personalization, not on a personal level, but at a corporate level. So what we expect that our clients, either other training companies using our technology or platform, or corporate clients, they can expect to have their knowledge bases educated to specific bots, which are then guaranteed corporations like Microsoft that it's absolutely separate, and those data security issues are not coming up, or at least addressed. But imagine like teaching best practices which are relevant to the organization could be taught to a bot easily right now, today, tomorrow, and then your employees can ask questions from it, either as a chat or with oral interaction. And that's both a productivity, but also I think it's part of that an augmentation one. So what we are working right now is to have these prompts, to have the educated solutions available, and also there's another productivity which we haven't mentioned yet. That's the language, because even right now we use for like more than a year we use AI-based videos and AI-based voices. It's just simple productivity. These are bite-sized videos and text-to-voice things where it's just simply a lot cheaper, faster, and better quality than going into a studio, and improves the interaction of the simulations. So I think our company is a good case for what you mentioned, even though not all the elements are coming in, because it's just a certain dimension. We got a question. Let me show it, and also we can. Do you believe that AI poses a greater threat to education, given that we can now obtain instant results for things that previously required extensive research and learning? Eszter, please reflect to the question, and then I will do also.
Yeah,
do you think it's a threat?
I would rather see it as an opportunity. I mean, once again, it's a threat for those who are not in this constant learning and modus in generally, who were not following, this speed of change. I know many researchers and even in applied research, they say like, "Oh, I would be so happy to use my, this part of my brain instead of measuring things that can be automated and everything." So yes, for mediocre students or mediocre results, etc., it's a threat, but I think it's even more enlashing creativity and even more enlashing research, because the very non-value added and repetitive part or the information can be gained quickly, and people can use their brain for contextualizing it for innovation, etc. So like I recognize the threat feeling, but it's a valid threat, but I would embrace it rather thoughtfully. And
what comes into my mind is, okay, when at the university, it was not yesterday, honestly, not telling you the year, but there was one exam when we were preparing for it, we got the information that we can use anything, any book, any note, anything. Okay, that time there was no internet yet, but we can use anything. And it was so frightening that, oh, what are they going to ask from us if we can use anything, and still presumably it will be challenging? So I think it's going back to the question, it's also a responsibility for the educators that ask things or projects or exercises which will need these elements, as in the real life they will be available, but at the same time still challenging and pointing out to complexity or combinations that you need your own brain and individual solution for that. Okay, we got another question.
Mm-hmm.
Is that AI tools of limited use will not replace learning design. Do you think AI will also help in the design of complex and science-based learning processes in the foreseeable future?
Gergo, I think definitely, so this is an interaction. It's not only true that you write the music first and then you use the instrument, but I think through AI and through like getting this type of signals from unstructured data and understanding, many things that we can't scope today. I think it will definitely contribute to better learning designs, and even like how we are going to think about learning design and who is going to the design which journey. Because I can imagine that there are certain roles and skills for them. Designing a learning journey can be automated, etc. But once again, like the real science and the art of science is like how we are going to design learning journeys for complex learning objectives, for complex situations, etc. And I would definitely use the best of the human and the best of the machine to make sure that at the end of the day we are having the best impact.
I can answer also to Gergo's questions that for example, I right now today and every day I use AI for designing things. I ask the opinion. I just ask, argue with me something. Okay, the sparkle should come from you, but it can be an interaction. And let's say I cannot call Eszter anytime or always or other humans to interact and discuss the ideas. So when you are alone and when you are designing things, it's really useful if you have a reference technology to use, but it's not going to solve it itself. So I don't expect that it will create courses by itself in the foreseeable future.
And coming back to Gergo, I think your organization is like, if someone is going to use this in a way that is your organization, so you are really a flagship from that perspective. May I ask something from the audience? That it would be great to receive. Like, what is the thing that you take with you from this discussion? If you are still here, because we are 2 minutes after. So, like, what did you learn, or what did you let's say find the most revealing, or aha, or what do you want to know more? Because if there is an interest, I think we can arrange other occasions as well. The topic is broad, it's very interesting, so I would be very happy if I would get some kind of perspectives from the audience, how they felt and how they found our discussion today.
I don't want to have a big silence, so maybe I answer to your question and hopefully not influence the others.
No, I chat.
Okay? Yeah. I know. But until they are writing their things, hopefully. What I can tell you, Esther, is I really liked the first part when you mentioned this structure, the 3 words, because it put into a structure of my thinking. I was more thinking of the tools, because I'm more like a guy at a company using tools to reach something, and it's really great to have a helicopter view and also have a structure behind it, and then in fact I use this, I totally agree, and I can put into context that. So we got AI plus human cooperation means possibilities.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, if you want to finish it at a very high level, and then coming back to this meaning and collaboration, I think if you just consider the ESG goals, I think it's goal number 4. I think that everybody has the right for quality education. So, like, how much AI and how much technology can contribute to accessibility, that's a different story. That there are parts of the world where this is a huge thing, but how technology, AI, can democratize learning, how they can somehow bring this type of thing to those who are not entitled and not privileged enough to go to physical school, etc. That's one thing. And I was very much impressed by Davos, where Microsoft, Accenture, and the World Economic Forum announced the first metaverse for public good. This is the so-called global collaboration village, where the intention is bring together people, learn from each other, and put together once again man and machine for a good cause, for creating answers for complex problems of the world together. So for me, this is as well learning. It's not like a classroom, etc., but the spectrum is very broad, and I think technology and AI can help that we can really amplify the impact that we can somehow achieve via education.
Okay, I need to just wrap it up to finish. Thank you for Eszter joining and give us this structured way. For everybody who is here, you can listen back this discussion. It will be forever available on LinkedIn. We will also put on YouTube.
But bear with us, maybe in half a year we can say even more. So forever available, but
okay. At least as far as I know.
Sure.
So I encourage you to contact on LinkedIn Eszter and also myself. We're happy to have new connections. Also to check out EDUardo if you are interested in things. I'm not going into the summary of what we touched because this was such a broad thing. Eszter, you made me think of some things, so I think I have my homework, and I hope that we also encouraged others to learn. There are plenty of opportunities around us. I encourage you to try out these things and consider which helps your either individual learning journey, or you as a service provider, or you as a corporation or academic institution. So any institute. So thank you very much for being here today and being active, and wish you a great day. Bye bye.
Bye bye.